My girlfriend made a joke about how she wanted to introduce her best friend into our bedroom, but when I said I was down she got up and left for the night, and now she's going berserk because I got too excited at the thought of her best friend. Last night before bed my girlfriend, 23F, asked me, 23M, if I would be down for a night in bed with her best friend since high school, 24F. The two of us have been discussing experimenting in the bedroom for a while. Things haven't necessarily been stale, we just wanted to find some ways to mix things up. So, it wasn't entirely out of the blue. Now, I was definitely surprised she suggested her friend to be our third, but they're so close I guess it made sense to me. Her friend and I aren't like best buddies or anything, but it's not like we don't get along. Anyway, I said yes. She just stared at me speechless, for a long time. Eventually she asked, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" I responded, "No, I was kidding." She said I thought it was funny for a moment, but I dared not laugh as it was clear she did not feel that way. Without another word she got up and spent the night on the couch. I tried to call her back as she walked out, but she said she'd talk to me in the morning. Well, I decided I'd better let her sleep it off and we'd talk when she was ready. The talk that followed wasn't easy. To sum up though, she's pissed at me because she thinks I want to smash her friend and that I was just way too excited at the idea. I didn't see it that way. I thought it was a way to be explorative in our bed life with someone we're both already comfortable with. Is she reading too far into this, or am I the jerk here? Commenter. She was playing a game that backfired on her, so now she wants to make you out to be the bad guy here. Don't ask questions if you don't want the answer. Update. With everything that's happened I wanted to let you all know. I read as many of the comments as I could and I do appreciate all the feedback. The general consensus that I saw was she was testing you and you're an idiot, which I can accept tbh. Hindsight is 2020 and I've learned my lesson. We decided we would sit down and talk once we both got home from work last night and, armed with all that I had read, I was prepared to do so. Before that happened though, the aforementioned friend reached out to me while I was at work. I was blown away to read her message, which said, "Hey, I just felt I should tell you my girlfriend's name was on FT with me when she asked you about a threesome. I was surprised by your response, but I wanted you to know that I'm interested." Immediately I thought, this has to be a follow-up test, right? So, determined not to fall for that again, I screenshotted the message but didn't respond. When it came time to have our talk, I couldn't help but come right out of the gate confronting her with THT message from her friend. Saying things like, "Why would you test me like this? Can you not trust me?" I was in a fury and not letting her get a word in when she finally cut me off and admitted that she was wrong to ask me about the threesome, but she had not told her friend to say anything to me. I didn't believe her, so she let me go through her phone and make sure there was nothing. I still don't know how I can believe her or trust her. Messages aren't the only form of communication. Long story short, we broke up. I'm gonna be shaken about this for a while. So wild how a relationship I thought was healthy could blow up in my face so quickly, but I guess that's how it is sometimes. Commenter. So your ex, unbeknownst to you, had her friend on FT when she asked you that question? Yeah, there's absolutely no trust to be had after that. Thank the friend for letting you know about the FT and then be done with both of them. Commenter 2. It sucks that a stupid joke killed your relationship. It sounds like she is really insecure and maybe she really did talk to her friend about it, and maybe the friend was a little too eager and that made her uncomfortable. I think breaking up might have been a little too much, but you definitely need space between each other for a few days. I probably would call her back if you really love her.
My mom tried to get her happy ending after my dad passed away by marrying the man she truly loved and threatening to ruin my life if I didn't paint a perfect picture of him in court. But this isn't fantasy land, I'm not falling for her manipulative BS, and I'm going to ruin her life instead. My 14F dad was a great man and father. He was the person I loved most in the entire world, and I will never stop missing him. I miss how he'd always, without fail, wake up every time I had a nightmare and sit with me in the hammock on the back deck, and we'd both have hot chocolate and he'd make me feel safe and then sing me to sleep. I miss how he would put me on one shoulder and my sister on the other when we went to shows and couldn't see, and just stay like that the whole time. I miss taking mini getaways randomly, getting picked up from school and just spending a weekend at Great Wolf Lodge or a day at Six Flags. I miss how he would always take my side and make me feel like nothing I could do would ever make him love me less. My dad died 2 years ago, and I found out that my mom never loved him. She married him because her parents said they'd cut her off if she married the man she actually loved. She wasn't willing to go live in the ghetto with him, I guess, so she married my dad instead. When he was diagnosed with leukemia, she started talking to the other guy again. They were married 2 days after the anniversary of my dad's death. During all this, they wouldn't let any of our grandparents see us. They were gonna sell our house and move across the country, but thank God my dad had the house put in a trust for me and my brother, 12M, and sister, 13F, so they couldn't just take us away. I hate this guy with all my heart. I'm pretty sure he hates me too. I told my mom I wouldn't forgive her for marrying him, and she did it anyway. I've been grounded for the last year pretty much because I refuse to listen to his rules or eat with him or anything like that, but I just get off the bus before my stop after school and hang out with friends anyway. Apparently my grandparents have been fighting for custody ever since my dad died, and my mom just didn't tell us until we had to go into court. She basically said she'd never ground me again if I just said nice things about her and the guy, but I didn't, and I told my siblings I'd never forgive them if they did, so it didn't go well for her. Now it looks like she's gonna lose custody, and if that happens she loses the house and access to our trusts, so she's freaking out. It's not like she'd lose everything, but she probably would have to move somewhere less nice and raise her new baby without the stuff she wanted. She keeps saying that she deserves to be happy, and that everyone's racist and we're ruining her happy ending with a man she loves. I think she can love him just as easily in a bad neighborhood shopping at Walmart. Love conquers all, right? She says it's not about that, but yeah, right. Update 1. Hi everyone. I wanted to give an update because I just got my computer and phone back, and I have internet access again. It feels so great to be able to just sit on my computer in the living room and not have to worry about anyone coming in to yell at me or take something away or try to force me to work for them. I can't believe how amazing it feels. My grandparents managed to get custody of us a few days ago, right before Christmas. What I said and what I had my siblings say really helped their case, and apparently new guy was doing something with the trust that wasn't super legal, but I don't know all the details. He's not going to jail like I hoped when I found out, but he is in some trouble. I mean, I thought after he took everything from me and tried to lock me up in a room, him going to jail would be like karma doing its thing, but I'm just so happy he's gone that I don't really even care. Mom still has visitation, and we see her every weekend, but new guy is not allowed to come. She called me a lot of names when she found out everything my siblings and I said, but honestly, I don't care. I do care a little that new guy broke some of the things my dad gave me, but I don't think I'd ever have gotten those back, and I got him out of my dad's house, which is the most important thing. If my mom wants to swim in the mud, she can do it somewhere else. Maybe someday we'll be okay again, but for now, she blew it. Our grandparents moved in over Christmas break, and we just got most of my stuff back by court order this morning, which is why I have my computer. I also got back most of my dolls and clothes and stuffed animals, and all my important paperwork like birth certificate and social security card. Some of my jewelry and 2 of my dolls were missing, and apparently new guy destroyed them as revenge. I think he might have pawned them, but I can't prove that. But the most important stuff is all back. My grandparents spoke to my school and petitioned for late enrollment in some stuff next semester, so starting after break I will be back in cheerleading, pending tryout, and taking the college English class I couldn't take last semester. Dance club is less formal, and gymnastics class isn't through school, so those weren't hard to get back into either, but my old modeling agency did end up dropping me after everything that happened, so that's not great. My grandma says that we'll figure out finding new representation after the break, and in the meantime she's going to help me study up for this amazing summer program whose director she knows that will prepare me for a pre-law course. It's pretty much everything I could have hoped for. She doesn't super approve of the pageants, so I still can't do those, but pretty much everything else is going to go back to normal. Here's my favorite part of the update: new guy and code DID end up moving to the ghetto. I don't know if they shop at Walmart yet, but I found out their address, and it's in this crappy old apartment building over a convenience store. He's exactly back where he belongs, and I know it's probably a little mean, but I feel very satisfied knowing that he'll never get another taste of what he didn't deserve in the first place. I never have to see him again, and I might have to see the baby eventually, but it sure won't be stealing from us anymore either. Oh, and I'm turning 15 next month. My grandpa says he'll start teaching me to drive. Basically, this was the best Christmas ever, and yeah, thank you guys for the support, it really helped me through everything. Update 2. I got my dolls back. Per my last post, new guy and my mom said they broke 2 of my dolls. Well, guess what were found today in a pawn shop 3 towns over? I know they're mine because the bigger one, Lily, had my name on the bottom of her shoe. Her hair is a mess, looks like it was maybe cut, and the Barbie was clearly not stored properly either, but I have them back. I talked to my grandparents about freezing credit and they said not to worry about that because they have some kind of tracker alert thing and they'll go to the police if anyone tries to take out a credit card in my name, so. Yay? I don't know, I don't really get how it works. Visits with my mom have been weird, to say the least. She doesn't really look like how she used to, and she always smells weird. She cut off her hair and dyed it half green. She never really wants to talk to me, just to my younger brother and sister, so I usually spend most of the visit reading a book and keeping track of anything crazy she says so I can tell my grandparents. I don't think she loves me at all anymore, but that's fine, because she never loved my dad, and so I'm in excellent company. I wish we didn't have to see her, but it's a legal thing. She always calls me my full name these days, and she never used to. Like if I said my name was Valerie, she'd call me Vals or Valley or something, but now it's Valerie. My name isn't actually Valerie, but you know what I mean. My birthday sucked a little bit though. She wanted to come and bring new guy and new guy's baby, and I said no to them, so she didn't show up. I did cry about that, which was silly, but I guess it just felt like a bigger deal than it really was. I don't know why I was upset about it. She's not my mom anymore, and if she did show up it would have been the smelly green hair version, so it's for the best, and next time I won't invite her at all. I got a car though, which is cool, cause I have my learner's permit now. My grandpa's been teaching me to drive, and I've only had one minor fender bender so far. I'm really glad to have my dolls back. My dad got them for me, and I really loved especially the Millie doll. She's from this book series I read as a kid, and she's special to me. I have to wash her, and at least attempt to wash the Barbie, because they both smell awful right now, but I'm just glad he didn't succeed in taking them from me forever. The jewelry is still missing, but I don't mind as much. Oh, and my grades are back to straight A's. I made the cheer team, and I love the college class I'm taking. It's the coolest thing ever. So, that's the update, I guess. Thanks for everyone supporting me so much through this.
My girlfriend was about to crash out in front of my whole family because I left her all alone for 10 minutes while I helped move some tables, so I took her home, but on the way she started cussing me out, and now I want out of this relationship. I, 27M, have been dating Emma, 27F, for a year and 3 months. I can tell you I love her, but I have recently told her I want a break because of how she spoke to me, yelling and cussing me out. She's saying couples fight, and that's all it was. I don't know if I really want to feel this way again. Now she's telling me I'm the jerk for trying to walk away over a fight. I need advice because after 4 days, I'm wondering if I'm ending things too fast. A week ago today, I took my GF to my family reunion. The first one since COVID, and everyone showed up. My big family was all together. My GF would be meeting a lot of new people, but a few she's met already. Being at the reunion an hour, my GF and I were talking to my cousin, 30F, who knew my GF from working together, so while those two were catching up, I saw an uncle I haven't seen in a while, so I went over and said hello. Talking with him for about 10 minutes, I kept turning around to see if my GF was still with my cousin, talking. My grandmother asked me to help carry 4 tables. I let my GF know I was going to carry 4 tables inside and asked if she wanted to come. She said no, she's fine talking to my cousin. I helped carry the 4 tables, then came back over to her. I was away no more than 10 to 15 minutes. As we made eye contact, I could see that she looked annoyed. As I walked towards her, she started walking towards an open sound away from anyone. As I walked up, she said, "Why the fudge are you leaving me alone?" I said, "I told you I was carrying tables, and you were with my cousin, she's a familiar face." She said she saw other family and walked away to talk with them, so I'm standing here looking like a dumb butt because you left me alone. I honestly never saw her so upset. She said, "If I had known you'll be leaving me alone, I would have stayed home." I said, "I'm sorry, I wasn't meaning for you to feel that way." I helped and came right back. She said whatever and walked back towards everyone. You could visibly see she was upset, and I asked her, "Please not here in front of my family." She said, "Take me home then." I said, "Are you serious right now?" She started walking towards the car. Driving her home, I said I was only gone 10-15 minutes. She said, "It doesn't matter how long you were gone, you left me alone looking like a dumb butt." I felt so blindsided and in shock that things escalated this quickly. 30 minutes earlier, I was just carrying the tables in. At one point she was just yelling and going off, then she said, "You were acting like a dumb butt, it's ridiculous." As she got out of the car, she said, "I'll call you when I'm ready to talk." I drove home in silence, confused about how we got here, and I'm wrong for leaving her and not thinking about how she'd feel. I do understand that, and I apologize. I thought she would be comfortable with my cousin. I didn't think that she walked away. My GF spoke to me like I was trash, and I'm not okay with it. Later that night I got a text from her best friend saying how I'm a jerk for leaving her and what was the point of bringing her. She told me my GF was upset and couldn't believe me. After 3 days of not hearing from her, I texted her a long message letting her know I love her, but I don't ever want to be spoken to like that by my partner. It's been 3 days and I haven't heard from you. I understand being wrong, but not hearing from you for 3 days is crazy. She called me, and when I answered, she told me I'm wrong for wanting to take a break because she's upset. She said, "You left me and you don't see the problem with that," and I told her, "It's how you spoke to me that's the issue. I didn't mean to have you feeling alone," but even after apologizing, you kept going. She said couples fight, and she can't believe I want to end things. I do care about her and love her, but for the past 3 days I've been thinking about how she spoke to me, sitting in that feeling, and not hearing from her didn't help. I sent texts and called her, but she didn't answer. I keep thinking about how she was just yelling and cussing me out. Am I the jerk for wanting to break up? Please, whatever advice is needed. Update. Hello, everyone. I was not expecting so many people to comment and give advice. Thank you, everyone. Honestly, I needed to hear some of these comments. A few of you said she's done this before in some way. I've never seen her that upset, it really threw me off, and for it to be the first time at my family reunion again, it threw me off. When she asked to leave immediately instead of us figuring out what was going on, I didn't think my family reunion was the place for us to have any type of back and forth, so of course, I took her home. I'm not someone who yells at my partner. My parents only communicated through yelling and random outbursts. I don't communicate that way and don't want a relationship like my parents. I'm 6'2", 210 pounds, it doesn't look good for someone my size to be yelling at my partner. I don't ever want my partner to feel intimidated or unsafe for me yelling at her. A day after I posted, I texted Emma asking if we could talk. A few of you said she could have social anxiety that I didn't know about. I have a really big family, so I wanted to see if maybe that was it. I asked her did she had social anxiety? And she said no. I said help me understand, why were you so upset? She said I don't understand how uncomfortable it is to just stand around not knowing anyone, and I should have stayed around longer before leaving her. You should have said come with me while I moved the tables. After she got done talking for about 5 minutes, I told her I'm done with this relationship. You came up with all these different scenarios I should have done, but here's one you didn't think about. Tell me that it made you uncomfortable being left alone, so I can be with you. I would have understood you only know 10 people out of 70 or 80 people, so I would have just walked you around meeting everyone. This was a moment I could have shown you that I care about your feelings, and you could feel trusted. My family is super inviting, and all she had to do was give it all a chance. It has all shown me that this isn't a relationship I want to be a part of, and I don't want to be in a relationship where my partner is justifying cussing me out. She started backpedaling and saying a lot of other stuff, but I told her I had to go, and good luck in life. I haven't spoken to her at all. I blocked her number and I blocked her friend's number. I want to find my partner, I want to be with someone who can talk to me and figure things out. I feel like that was an easy win for our relationship, but it went the way it did for some reason. I didn't miss out on the reunion. Since it's been a while, our reunion was the entire weekend. My grandparents have a farmhouse that sits on a lot of acres, so a lot of us camped out the entire weekend. The first day was us setting up our tents, the second day all the cousins, 20 to 40 years old, had a kickball tournament, and the third day we had a big fish fry. My family kept my mind busy those days, she wasn't speaking to me, and it helped me so much. I can't wait to have a partner I can share memories like this weekend with. Thank you for everyone who gave me advice. My female coworker has faked that she was about to pass out over 10 times since I've worked there, and that's only when I've been scheduled with her, so I called an ambulance the next time she did it, and her expression was priceless. I, 28 am working in an English language center in a Southeast Asian country. There's a female coworker in her 20s here who often touches her head and wobbles like she was about to faint, and she would lie down on the couch, letting people fan her, bring water and food to her. We take midday naps here, so whenever she does this, everyone's lunch and nap time is ruined, especially the ones who keep caring for her. This would happen at least twice a month, so over the last 5 or 6 months, I've seen a few incidents when we work the same shift. One time she even asked me to order ice cream for her. Info: it's a big, crowded city, so you can just walk to the ice cream shop nearby to grab one for $1. Didn't pay me back, but that's beside the point. This Monday, she did it again, and this time she asked a girl to order her an iced drink, a sandwich. A group of coworkers fanned her, did the whole caring thing like she's a sick child. I stood up from my chair, walked towards her, asked if she was okay, then I went to the men's washroom, dialed for an ambulance and went back to my seat. After 20 minutes, we heard the siren, my phone rang again, and I stood up and told her servants to help her to the ambulance. Her face changed, you know, that face, when someone knows they f***ed up. Other girls asked if I called, I said yeah, it seems more severe this time. It's best for her to go. The ambulance is here already, you'll have to pay for it regardless. The ambulance fee is about 1 to 2 days worth of her salary, $50. Other coworkers actually agreed and helped her get on the ambulance. Now that I think of it, no one called an ambulance for her once. Ever since that incident, she stopped interacting with me beyond highs and hellos. Thursday now, not a word to me. Am I a jerk for this? Update. Here's the update on the female coworker who kept fainting and asking people to order food for her. I'll call her Anne, because there's a lot of women involved in this update. After the first post, I texted some female coworkers to see if they had received food money back. 2 female teachers told me that they hadn't, but they didn't mind. The total amount was around $20 per person. Words got around fast, and I was added to a group of 5 other people, so in total, at least 7 female teachers were affected by Anne. Based on their word, Anne has low blood pressure and malnutrition. She indeed is very thin, K-pop idol type of body. She clearly has some unhealthy relationship with food. It's almost as if she doesn't want to pay for food. She borrowed money from multiple female teachers to pay hospital bills, and begged them to not disclose this information to others. We're talking up to a loan that worths 4 months of salary. She basically borrowed half of that teacher's emergency funds. She also flirted with one female teacher, Said teacher often brings her on small dinner dates. I didn't ask on this matter. HR was notified, the girls did the talking, I was called in as the one who called the ambulance. After the meeting, it's confirmed that N will be let go after 30 days, the reasoning was creating a hostile workplace environment. This morning was really awkward. Unfortunately, HR cannot help with the loans that people have given her, as it's personal matter. However, HR is willing to provide personal information of Ann to the affected coworkers. Oh well. It's their matter now. Now, answering some comments from the previous post. Some mentioned that I was wasting healthcare resources. Well, she was examined and came back with a diagnosis. Some asked me why everything's so cheap. It's Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Most things are affordable here except real estate lol. In fact, my overseas relatives literally book flights to Vietnam for medical care. Insulin here is like $3 to $7 per vial and you can buy it at almost any public or private hospital. If you have national healthcare ID, it's basically free. Some was worried for me because I accidentally slipped my personal social media page on the previous post. I don't really care honestly, I'm considered a valuable asset, and I'm easy to work with. If anything comes up, I think the company and I will be able to solve it peacefully. Yes, people take midday naps in Vietnam, you're the odd one if you don't. If I'm not standing a class, I'm allowed to be online, doing TikToks, etc. Having a TikTok account is not a legal reason to be let go. There's one Redditor here who was incredibly vindictive and was trying to antagonize me in the DMs. Girl, get a grip, you deliberately ignored all other comments. You're blocked. Bye. And finally, don't lend your coworkers half of your emergency funds? Like why? Commenter. I actually agree with the OOP, in that it struck me as odd that no one had called an ambulance before this. I mean, if not the coworkers, none of the managers? Admittedly, I know virtually nothing about Vietnam. So, for all I know, maybe that's not terribly uncommon. My mind just went to potential liability issues.
My ex left me because I was too upper class for him, but after 4 years of not talking to him at all, and me posting my new boyfriend, he called me sobbing that he messed up and is now willing to adjust, but I'm not anymore. I, 24F, ended up leaving my ex, 24M, 4 years ago. We dated in college, different departments, and I come from a significantly upper middle class background, which apparently was too much higher for him. His words, not mine. I didn't care, and when we started dating, even when we were 20, I told him I didn't care what his background was, if he and his family were willing, I'd make mine accept him too. But just in the last few months of graduation, he became so hateful. He would say such offensive things if I bought a new dress. He had a problem with my dad so much, because my dad and mom wanted me to go up to a PhD, and called it an elitist waste of time. He refused to even come to my celebration party, our common friends threw when I got into a prestigious master's program abroad, because it wasn't like you got a scholarship, your father is paying for it. I loved this man like crazy, and I still believe he loved me too, and I still don't understand why he became so hateful, that he ruined the last months of undergrad for me. I felt guilty for ordering pizza, he scolded me for not knowing his family's puja rituals well, and if I defended myself he would apologize and say he gets insecure because I will find someone much better than him. This kept on, till my sister who is only 15 years old sat me down and told me that I am losing myself by being with him. I drew some boundaries after that which he didn't take well, and he told me he was breaking up with me anyway to save my life because someone like him wouldn't know how to maintain a spoiled child like me. He also said he knew I would leave him the moment I decided to go outside the country, because I needed to rub it in his face that he couldn't have a life I had and make him more miserable. I was inconsolable for months after that, barely eating, and lost a lot of weight. That did me favors. I just soft-launched my boyfriend a few days ago in my Insta story. I didn't date anyone these 4 years and focused on my studies and traveled a little, plus my mom had a health scare, parents relocated to relatives and much closer to me, which took a lot of time. My boyfriend is someone I have known over years, his brother is a close friend from my master's, and I am honestly happy where my life is right now. I didn't take support from my dad after my master's, and though I make less money, it's enough to keep me happy. My ex called me from a college friend's phone yesterday. He was crying and telling me he knew he messed up and wanted me to know he still loved me. I didn't want to prolong the conversation, and hearing his voice almost gave me a panic attack, and I told him I am taken and cut the call. He sent me text after text from the mutual friend's account on how he was immature and seeing me with another man showed him that he was wrong, and said things like he was even willing to adjust to my family. I blocked that friend. Today I called that friend again and told him I couldn't trust him anymore. He said sorry and further scolded me a little that I could have taken a little bit of mercy on my ex, because he was heartbroken. I don't know, man, I didn't realize how much his words had affected me before. My hands were shaking and I felt like I was bracing for a verbal attack from him. Both my ex and that friend is blocked, but I still feel so betrayed. My sister called him a bunch of names and I think I have calmed down a little, but I needed to vent. I always thought if I talked or thought about him, it would mean I haven't moved on, but after moving on, I now understand that he has only mentally scarred me, and can't help having conflicted thoughts about it. Update. 25 days later. I wasn't going to update and basically forgot about this account. But some drama happened these past couple of days, and I thought I should. My ex harassed me through literally almost all of our mutual friends. I cut off quite a few people I spoke to from college, but ultimately decided against cutting off everyone, because I saw how much he was bothering them. Most of my girlfriends from college told him to piss off, but most of the boys, except 2, took his side and asked me to hear him out. We had a really big group of friends during college, most of whom came together because of my ex and me. So cutting people off, who I have genuinely held close to heart, hurt a bit. Plus, despite most of my girlfriends telling him and his flying monkeys off, one of my closest friends is married to a friend of my ex. And even though she told me she could handle her husband, I could sense that she was getting frustrated. I asked her advice on how to deal with this, and she promised me everyone will stop bothering me if I just talk to my ex once. I did. He called me when he was at my friend's house, and I was so mad, and I asked him why he was bothering me this way. He sounded like he was sniffing, and his voice sounded like he was very emotional. Throughout the entire time, he explained how he was going through depression, and he had self-confidence issues, and he took it out on me. How when he realized that he had been bad to me, he spiraled further. And he now knows my background isn't my fault, and he will do anything for things to go back. Then he said he wanted to contact me these years, but he didn't want to disrupt my career. Only when he saw me with my BF he thought that he might have been too late, and needed to talk to me. He then asked if there was really no way for us. I was very angry, more at his audacity than him, because he really made me lose respect for so many people, and I lost so many of my friends. I know, they took his side, and it was better for the long run, but I didn't need all this drama and mental stress. I told him I loved my boyfriend. I will most likely marry my boyfriend, and if not, I'd literally die than marry him and into his crazy Orthodox family. And I hope that he was happy with ruining my friendship with the group, because there was no way I was going to tolerate my own friends harassing me to get back together with a guy who wrecked my life. Ultimately, his words just kept on pissing me off, so I cut the call. My friend said she and her husband have told my ex they won't support him anymore, and the friend group has now gone to my side. But I'm done. We are in our mid-20s, not in college. And just because I live far away, does not mean I want to be bullied. And I seriously don't want to speak to these people much again, because they ruined all respect I had for them. Still, you never know who you need in life, but I've told them they are on thin ice. My boyfriend and I are pretty happy. My parents are healthy, and my little sister is doing well in life. My career is going good. I'm going to spend my time doing things for me and my family and count my blessings. Honestly, when I heard crazy ex stories, I always thought it would never happen to me, because mine hated me. But screw him. He can live in misery for all I care. I'm so glad I dodged that bullet missile.
My wife teased me and left me with a dead bedroom for 3 years, so I went off on her for teasing me the whole day on our anniversary and told her that we are getting a divorce because I'm done playing games. I, 32M, am married to my wife, 32F, for 6 years and together for 9 years. Our intimacy life gradually diminished into nothing after 3rd year of our marriage. We do not have children as of now. I handle my part of chores in the household, if not even more, due to me working from home and being available mostly. I do show her non-intimate attention and gestures such as massaging, kisses, being emotionally available and other things. I explain these because people tend to find fault from my side first after I tell them about the situation. I tried to have many talks with my wife about it, but it all boils down to we are not married just for doing it, stop thinking with your thing down there and so on. However, she does not stop herself from teasing me. She'll talk about doing it but just reject me afterwards and go to sleep. She'll be flirty but nothing in the end. I asked her if it's a kink and if it's, I am not comfortable with such a thing, especially as our bed life is in shambles. She said it's not a kink and she genuinely does not feel in the mood. I told her to stop teasing me then. Yesterday was our anniversary and we had a great date together. She implied doing it and teased me a lot during our time. I was hopeful that we'll do something in the end. Guess what? Once we stepped inside the house, she just showered and went to bed. Cool, I think I should approach. I tried and got rejected in the end. I lost it at that moment and just shouted my frustration at her. I told her I'm going to divorce her. I packed my clothes and some important belongings, and left for a hotel. She tried to stop me but could not. She has been calling me non-stop, but I just need peace of mind right now. It's just frustrating. Being together with someone but feeling alone and unwanted sucks. On top of that, she gives me hope only to destroy it. I called my lawyer friend this morning and will start the divorce proceedings this Monday. I am just done at this point. Update. Just came back from local courthouse after presenting the divorce intention document to the family court. My friend filled out my info on a one-pager draft and that was it. I called my wife to let her know I started the process and I am okay with 50-50 everything. She called for marriage counseling and told me I should take what I did back. I realized I'm extremely burned out from trying and do not want to try anymore. That's what 3 years of trying with no results does to someone, I guess. I told her we can have a separation counseling near the end of the divorce so we can understand the relationship from each other's points and end it amicably. She tried to talk it with me, but I asked her to please make it easy for both of us and hung up. She is messaging me and calling me still, but I have no intention of talking to her if lawyers are not involved right now. My lawyer friend told me it's okay to leave the house as we do not own it anyways. I'll be staying with my parents for now. Next update will be once the divorce is completed. Hopefully it will be in few months, not years. There were a lot of comments on the original post and I could not answer all of them. Thank you for all the advice and help. My girlfriend came over to my apartment one day and saw scars on my roommate, immediately assumed he was trans, and threatened to end our relationship if I didn't ask him about his past. I, 22M, have a roommate, let's call him Alex, 23M, who moved in about 6 months ago. I honestly never considered Alex maybe trans, not that I would care if he was, but that's not the issue. He is a short guy and probably under 165 centimeters, has a lot facial hair, muscles, and looks a lot like a short Henry Cavill emo. No one I know has ever brought up this idea before. I've had my friends and family at our apartment before. This is really the part that gets to me because my mom is extremely against any gay people, and if she sensed anything was up she would have caused problems right away. Alex and I get along. We're polite but not really friends. He's quiet but super polite, always pays rent on time, helps with chores, and even shares his cooking with me. I appreciate having him around, especially because my last 3 roommates were each their own horror story. The issue came up when my girlfriend, let's call her Sarah, 28F, came over one day. Alex was shirtless. To clarify, I forgot to tell Alex that she was coming over, and she noticed the scars on his chest. After that she was quiet and short with me her entire stay there. When she got home, she blew up my phone, asking why I had a female living with me. I was confused and asked what she was on about. She says that she knows that his scars are from top surgery and that he is short, so he has to be trans, and a born female. I tried to explain that even if Alex is trans or a born female, that there is no way I'd be attracted to him because to any person who looked at him, you would see a freaking guy. Plus he's respectful and doesn't cause drama like my last roommates, which she knows about. Just to be clear, I honestly still have no idea if Alex is even trans. I googled it, and those scars could be from some other surgery. Like heart surgery or gynecomastia. And I really don't have an argument for him being short, but there is a lot of short men. At first Sarah wanted me to just ask Alex if he was trans, which why the heck would I do that, or give her his last name so she can run a background check. I said no to both. Then she said this was a violation of trust and that if I didn't either find out that Alex is trans, and kick him out, or just kick him out that she would have to reevaluate things. Basically threatening to break up. I said I don't do ultimatums and that we're done. Since then, she's been messaging me every single day for over 2 weeks, even after I blocked her on everything because she wouldn't leave me alone, pissed that I wouldn't do this small thing for her. She ranges from, are you screwing him? Let's just talk, why can't you at least give me closure and ask him? To the most recent her telling our mutual friend about the situation. Our friend wants nothing a part of this shit show. I didn't feel bad at first, but after talking about it online, I've had some people say I should have just asked my roommate if he was indeed trans just to keep the peace, or that I shouldn't have essentially picked my roommate who I've only had for about 6 months over my girlfriend of 5 years. I wonder if I'm being unreasonable. I legitimately do not see how any straight dude could find Alex attractive, personally, but maybe I should have done something just to keep the peace. F parents, how did your child unexpectedly lose their life? My then 13-year-old son saw on the internet that nutmeg can get you high, so he mixed 5 tablespoons of it into a glass of water, drank it, and went into cardiac arrest about half an hour later. Nutmeg comes from the myristica plant, which is the same plant that mace comes from. Nutmeg, as it turns out, can be poisonous in larger doses. My son approached me, clutching his heart, falling over, and pale as a sheet. I knew that an ambulance wouldn't get there in time. I put him in the car and sped to the hospital myself. I remember looking over at him, struggling to breathe, and thinking please don't die, over and over. They took my son straight into emergency, stripped him naked and put him on a gurney, where they shortly had to use the paddles on him to stabilize his heart. In the US, whenever a child is hurt, a social worker interviews the parents to make sure that there isn't any parental abuse or neglect involved. I am standing over my son, unsure of whether he will live or die, when this guy with a clipboard comes in and wants to interview me. I said, look, if you can honestly tell me you have ever heard of a nutmeg overdose, or believe there is seriously anything I could have done to predict or prevent this, I promise I'll listen to whatever lecture I'm about to get. Otherwise, I think we're done here. The guy just put his pen behind his ear and walked back out. My longest night was wondering whether my boy was going to die because he made a stupid mistake based on something he read on the internet. I was so angry at the unfairness of that. He was in the hospital for a couple of days after that. It ended up that he was okay, but they said if I'd gotten him there even a moment later, we might have lost him. The hospital then put nutmeg on its official list of potentially hazardous substances. Update, he died anyway. He took his life at the age of 24. This was one of 5 times I saved his life, only for him to die anyway. What disturbing rumor turned out to be true at your school? When I was a senior in high school, we had a new teacher join the faculty to teach health and home economics. She was probably about 26 years old and very, very attractive. Everyone was talking about the hot new teacher. As I was senior class president, I needed a new faculty advisor since my previous advisor of 3 years retired at the end of my junior year. About 2 weeks later, the principal called me into his office and informed me that the new hot teacher was going to be our new class advisor for the rest of the year. As a result, she and I spent a lot of time together, at school and off campus, organizing and running myriad events to raise money for the class, plan the prom, field trips, etc. Soon, the rumors started flying around that she and I were messing around. This was completely false. I can say she never acted inappropriately towards me or suggested anything to make me think she had plans for any type of physical or sexual activity. She was a fantastic advisor and always just that, a class advisor. I spent the rest of the year denying these rumors with friends, with teachers and with parents. I was even interrogated by my wrestling coach the day before the district championship match. She and I had a laugh about it at graduation as she had to face similar questions from other faculty as well as the principal. She confided in me that she had tendered her resignation, but the principal would not accept it and said he believed her and would ensure the rumor was squashed. So I graduated and left for my plebe year at West Point, forgetting about the entire situation. At West Point, the first year is called plebe year rather than freshman year. The first semester of my plebe year was moving along as it should, with no unusual events worth mentioning until the final month. Then, in early December, the topic of my high school faculty advisor resurfaced. One night when I was studying, there was a knock on my door and the company tactical officer, a regular Army captain, walked in and told me to report to his office immediately as there was a phone call for me from the Dover Police Department. Now, I immediately assumed it was my brother playing some kind of twisted joke on me since he was a captain in the very same police department waiting for me on the phone. Since my TAC was standing right behind me, I answered the phone as we were taught. Cadet Kerwick speaking. How may I help you, sir/ma'am? I immediately recognized the voice on the other end. It was not my brother but a close friend I had grown up with and known for over 15 years. He said,
My 15-year-old daughter goes to my married brother's house every weekend. When I found out why, I couldn't believe it. The age difference between my daughter and my brother isn't that big. She is 15 years old and he is 20, so they were always very close. Since she was a child, my daughter always matured quickly for her age. At the age of 11 or 12, she already wanted to put on makeup and was very vain. My brother and she were in similar life stages, so they were very attached. When my brother turned 18, he started dating someone, then got engaged, and eventually married. That made him distance himself a little bit from my daughter, which was natural, as their lives were taking different directions. After a while, my daughter approached him and his wife again, becoming close friends with her. Every weekend, my daughter wanted to go to their house and I always allowed it because I could see that they had a good reputation. My brother's wife was very dear, so I always allowed it. One weekend, my daughter went to their house but forgot her cell phone charger. Since my brother and his wife used iPhones, they did not have a charger compatible with her phone. She sent me a message asking if I could bring the charger and I told her I would. Later, I ended up forgetting it, and when I remembered, it was already around 11 p.m. My husband and I went to bring the charger. When we arrived, we called but no one answered. Since my brother lives in the house below my parents, we entered because the gate was open. We went to his house, and the living room door was unlocked, so we went in. Everything was very quiet, and I thought everyone was already asleep. I went to my brother's room and when I opened the door, you won't believe what I saw.
I overheard my girlfriend say she would leave me in a heartbeat for another man just because they are taller than me, so I'm showing her what being the bigger person really means and leaving her. My girlfriend and I have been dating for almost 3 years. Last night she had some friends over after she finished work. I work from home, so I only left my office to be formal and say hello and continued working. It was easy to hear the conversations they were having even though my office is down the hall. I then heard my girlfriend mention that she would leave me for a taller man. Her friends made a comment on how I was a lot shorter than her ex-boyfriend. My GF responded, if only he was as tall as X, he'd be 10 times better. If I could find someone taller than him, I would. I guess I should mention my GF is barely 4 feet 11 inches in shoes. I'm 5 feet 9 inches. The issue isn't the height, but the fact that she would leave me for something so trivial. I talked to her about it since and said she didn't mean anything by it, just that she always dated taller men. She has since apologized multiple times. Is this a red flag of any kind of things to come, or is it just me overthinking? Update 1. I left early in the morning to make sure I wasn't making irrational choices. When I came back she was immediately apologetic, but I didn't want any more apologies. I talked to her about how little respect she had for me, that she felt the need to make jokes at my expense. She started crying and begging not to break up and feeding me the standard BS people say when they don't want to break up. To not bore you with the details, I broke it off. I lose nothing at this point. I should clarify something from my initial post. I get that people can joke around and it doesn't mean anything, but when I confronted her about, she denied it and got very defensive. That's the part that got to me. The fact that she tried to cover it up before apologizing. Update 2. So I read all the comments on my last post, and even after breaking up with my girlfriend, I was doubting if I made the right decision. I wasn't going to update because I didn't see a reason to do it, but after the last couple days I came to a final conclusion. I want to clarify that I broke up with my girlfriend because of how easy it was for her to disrespect me behind my back, not because of the actual height difference. After I broke up with her, she continued to apologize to me. She would send me letters and call me a lot. In one of the texts I actually responded to, she asked if we could meet up and talk. Without going into much detail, she wanted a second chance and overall sounded very remorseful. I was about to agree, but something she said made me realize I would be making a mistake if I did. She said, "I'll remember to respect from now on." That sentence made me realize that I made the right choice by breaking up. Since when do you have to be reminded to have the bare minimum of respect for your partner? Either way, I'm glad I didn't give her a second chance. I don't know if any of you care at this point, but there's the update. On a side note, the other day I was hanging out with one of my female friends who happens to be taller, and I guess she saw us and started texting me that she doesn't need me, started saying that my friend was a pig and that I moved on too fast. Blocked her and had a laugh. I know for a fact I made the right choice. Men, what can you acknowledge is harder for women? Gift giving. When Christmas came, I unwrapped a cologne that smelled like a wood cabin infested with mold and filled to the brim with cow dung. But I recognized the brand name and knew it cost at least $800, so I plastered on a Hollywood white smile, and said something about how she knows me too well. I used it pretty much every day just to get her money's worth. It took a year to finish, which meant when Christmas came around, she bought me a refill. I can still remember our 10th Christmas, when it would have been my 10th god-awful cologne, and my 10th award-winning performance. Because as I went to unwrap it, she told me she found out the last cologne had been discontinued. So she got me something new. I ripped it open, and when I smelled the new cologne I couldn't fake my happiness. I picked her up and spun her around the room, repeating "thank you" over and over, but halfway through I realized I had just given myself away. I put her down and my beautiful wife looked more confused than ever. I told her there was something I needed to get off my chest. Wait, she said, "You've been wearing the cologne every single day for 10 years and you hated it?" I nodded, and she gave me a big smile. "You could have just been honest. I love you way more than any stupid cologne." And just like that, my Hollywood smile turned into the real thing.
My sister wanted me to put my icing on her thick cake. She starts getting wild. I'd known Lily since we were kids. She's my sister, and we grew up together. But today, something was different. The second our parents left the house, she flopped onto my bed with this smirk I'd never seen before.
Finally,
She sighed, stretching her arms above her head, making her crop top right up just enough to show a sliver of smooth skin.
alone at last.
I laughed it off, but then she pounced, pinning me down playfully.
You have no idea how long I've waited for this, she whispered.
Her breath warm against my ear. Before I could react, she rolled off me with a giggle.
Relax, I'm just messing with you.
But the way her eyes lingered on my lips said otherwise. She spent the next hour accidentally brushing against me, leaning way too close when we watched TV, and even stealing bites of my food, slowly licking her lips after every bite. "What?" she asked innocently when I stared.
You're way more fun to tease than anyone else. Please leave a like, drop a comment, and hit the follow button for part 2.
Parents of murderers, how do you view your son/daughter now? My stepson killed one of his bullies in high school. He has a cleft palate, and it's a pretty bad one. All his life he's been bullied for it. His mother and I have done everything we could to stop the bullying, but it never ceased. We contacted administrators, moved, switched schools, tried everything. Eventually, we decided on an online homeschooling program. Unfortunately, one of his bullies from his last school knew where we lived. He'd come by and taunt my stepson regularly. My wife and I were never around because the kid would come while we were working. One day, after my son tried ignoring his previous taunting, the bully figured it must have been a good idea to break in and find him. He threw a brick through our back window, which was in the guest bedroom, and proceeded to attempt to enter. Now, I partially blame on myself for what happened next. My son never knew his real father, and so since I've come in, I've done everything in my power to fill in, and we grew pretty close. I ended up trusting him enough to tell him where I kept my gun. Seeing as how his mother and I worked so often, I wanted him to be able to protect himself if anything were to happen if we were gone. So, he grabs my gun, opens the door to where the bully was and shot him in the chest twice. He died before the ambulance reached the scene. My son was never charged for anything, as there was obvious evidence of a forced entry, and the neighbors claimed that the bully repeatedly said he was going to kill my son when he got inside. This happened almost 10 years ago when my son was 15. He's been to so many different psychologists and therapists since then. Something in him changed that day, like he blamed himself. For years he tried to isolate himself from the world. He became a heavy alcoholic, and even attempted to kill himself. He blames himself for taking another human's life even though he knows his was in danger. Seeing what happened to my boy, it's heartbreaking. I sold the gun, never got another one. To this day, he still has that look of grief and guilt in his eyes. I'm starting to believe no amount of tears will ever wash it away.
My wife was blatantly racist to our son's girlfriend because she is black. But when she asked me to side with her, I told her she was a hypocrite, worse than her parents, and that I wouldn't tolerate it. I, 53 am white. My wife of 30 years, Naomi, is Japanese. We have 3 kids. This story focuses on my oldest son Kyle, 28M. When Kyle first got to college he began dating a Japanese girl, and when he introduced her to my wife, Naomi loved her. They didn't end up working out. But for the past 3 years, my son has been seeing Danny, a black girl. My son was in medical school across the country and he ended up meeting Danny because they both were volunteers at a soup kitchen. I remember the first time he sent a picture of her, my wife immediately didn't like her. I'm going to try to phrase this without sounding ignorant myself. But she looks like the urban black girl most think of when African American women. She has the big hoop earrings, the long nails, the long eyelashes. I think she looks stunning, but I've never been in a situation where I was involved in African American culture. Recently my son moved back to our city for residency and Danny moved with him and started law school. They were staying in an Airbnb, while looking for a place, and this week they finally found one. So they invited us over for dinner. Danny cooked soul food and this stuff was amazing. I complimented her food and my wife gave me the side eye. Naomi then pulled out her phone and asked Danny why does she dress like that and why was she twerking in public. Kyle asked his mom what her problem was. I then took the phone to scroll through Danny's Instagram. And while she did have some videos of her having fun, she also had plenty of pictures of her academic achievements. Before Danny could answer I told my wife Danny is young and having fun. I asked did she see that Danny graduated cum laude or all the time she volunteered. My wife looked angry that I would bring that up. Naomi then said that she thinks that Danny isn't good enough for our son. Danny then asked why Naomi loved Kyle's ex so much. She didn't graduate with honors, she has many different boys that she posted on social media. Danny then said it's evident the reason Naomi doesn't like her is because of her race. Naomi doubled down and said so what? I've never heard Kyle even disrespect his mother, but he told her to get the F out. Naomi left crying. In the car on the ride home I asked her what was her problem. She asked why didn't I defend her. I said because she was being a racist and a hypocrite and she's acting just like her parents. Her parents didn't like me because I was white. She just said it's different and was just silent on the way home. And when we got to the house she locked herself in the room and started crying. I can't feel bad for her because if someone disrespected my wife the way she disrespected Danny I would have absolutely did the same exact thing Kyle did. But Ida, because I was also harsh towards her in this situation, pounded my daughter after she saw me pleasuring myself. I, 42M, have been single for 5 years since my partner passed away. My daughter, 26F, came home to visit while she thinks about moving back to my town. I have since moved into a small 1-bedroom apartment, so there was no real room for her, but she's only staying 2 weeks. I haven't seen her in over a year even though we talk every week. She and I are very close. When I picked her up from the airport, my heart raced. We held hands an entire drive home. Having a woman in the house again felt really good. I had a list of chores for her to do and she started almost immediately. I told her I wanted to thank her for her work and she suggested we go out to a nice restaurant. I was excited since I mostly cook at home for myself and it has honestly been a few months since I've been on a date. I got dressed and we went to a nice Italian restaurant she picked. She was so attentive the entire night. It was sweet, and when she suggested I have another glass of wine, I didn't hesitate. We went for a short walk after dinner and I hung off her arm and we talked about her boyfriend. It was the happiest I've been in a while. When she drove us home, she grabbed my hand and held it, initiating the contact. When we got home, we talked more and she massaged my shoulders and then neck. It was heaven. I realized that I was enjoying being touched too much and excused myself, saying I was going to bed. I went to my room and put a towel on my bed and got comfortable. I was about to stroke myself, but my daughter walked in. She then saw me obviously exposed. She then started smirking. Press share and more for part 2. My parents shipped me to my grandma when I was 13, and now that I'm getting married they want to reconcile so my younger siblings can meet their big brother, but I want to keep my ship sailing without them. My, 29M, parents divorced when I was 7. After the divorce, I initially lived with my mom and spent weekends with my dad. When I was 9, my mom moved in with her boyfriend, and I was sent to live with my dad. At first, it was fine because my mom would regularly meet with me, but over time, those visits became less. When I was 12, my dad introduced me to his girlfriend, who I could tell didn't like me. I didn't understand why. By then, I was only seeing my mom once every 3 months or so. My dad told me to get used to his girlfriend, but we never really got along. A year later, my dad told me I would be living with my grandmother, his mom, from now on because his girlfriend was pregnant and wanted a calm house. I was angry and caused a scene. His girlfriend told my dad that I was always like this around her, which was a lie, but my dad believed her and shipped me off to my grandmother. I told my mom I wanted to live with her, but she said she and her partner traveled the world all the time and that I needed to stay put for school. So, I lived with my grandmother. My parents occasionally checked in on me, meeting me on my birthday or sending essentials until I was 16. After that, the contact became even less frequent, no birthday calls or money for essentials. My grandmother had to go back to work to support me. I had no idea that my dad had married his girlfriend and had 2 other kids or that my mom had gotten married and had twins until my grandmother told me. I started to resent both of them, but my sweet grandmother kept me grounded. She provided for me, ensured I graduated, and helped me get into a good college. When When I turned 18, as a gift to her, I changed my last name to her maiden name. She wasn't happy initially but accepted it later. My parents hadn't contacted me or grandmother for over a year and a half at that point. I went to college, graduated, got a good job, got engaged, and have generally had a good life. I haven't spoken to my parents in all this time. My grandmother passed away 4 years ago. I tried to text and call the only phone number I had of Dad, but it didn't go through and I was the only family member at her funeral. Recently, I got an email from my dad and mom asking to meet and reconnect. I don't know how they got my personal email. My dad says he wants to apologize and attend my wedding, and his kids want to meet their big brother. He also mentioned that my mom wants to meet me and apologize as well. He even had the audacity to write that he was disappointed in me changing my last name but understood it. He didn't even ask about his own mother. I've already moved on without them. Hit multiple milestones in my life and career without their support, so I sent a reply stating I don't know him or my mom, added a few other harsh words, and told them never to contact me again. I told my fiancée, who comes from a big family and is very family oriented, and she was upset, saying I was too harsh. She believes I should give them a chance since it's been so long. We had huge argument about this. She kept saying how family is important and I should forgive and forget. Now, I have a feeling she might be involved with them and she might be the one who gave them my email. I talked to my close friends and all of them say I am justified on my stance, but my fiancé's outburst is making me think about it.
I'm refusing to go to my brother's wedding because he won't tell me the reason his fiancée didn't invite me. Now his wedding is ruined because of his stubbornness. I, 21F, have an older brother, 25M, who is getting married later this year. We used to be somewhat close when we were growing up but drifted apart after he met his now fiancée, 24F. From the start his GF and I didn't really get along, but I've always kept it civil for the sake of him and my family, so there are no bad feelings between us, or so I thought. My grandmother called me up about 4 weeks ago to ask if I wanted to go dress shopping with her for the wedding, and I was so confused because I didn't even know my brother was engaged. I thought nothing of it and assumed they didn't mention it because I don't live with my parents anymore, but did find it somewhat strange that no one posted anything about the proposal until I found his GF's private Instagram account on my BF's phone because she blocked me. About a week ago my mom called me and told me that the invitations were sent out that day and asked if I got mine, because my brother's GF was supposed to give them to my BF since they work at the same company. I said no and she was very irritated. She called me back after talking to my brother and told me that she's inviting us to the wedding and I don't need an invitation, so I said that I am not going to the wedding without an invite and that if they didn't want me at the wedding I don't want to be there. Now my family is saying I'm a jerk for not accepting the invitation, my mother inviting me over the phone and saying that I want to ruin her wedding day. Update, later that day. I only posted the story today, but I already have the update because it just happened a few hours ago. My parents and my brother showed up at my house. Luckily my BF was home too. And I'm so not going to the wedding. Anyways, my brother's fiancée does indeed not want me at the wedding. My parents and brother are trying to convince her to invite me. No thanks, not after everything. They came to our house to tell me I should apologize to my brother's GF. I was totally fine with it, I only wanted to know what it was I was apologizing for. Which is where I might be the jerk. They told me that they couldn't tell me what it was, but that it happened 2 years ago when my future sister-in-law and I used to work together at the same company. I tried to find out what it was but they wouldn't tell me. My BF got a bit upset about everything and told them that if they can't even tell me what I did wrong, he sees no reason for me to apologize. My brother then let us know that he doesn't care if we don't attend, but my grandparents told him if he doesn't invite me they're also not going, and that's the only reason they want me there. So I decided that I'm not going to the wedding. Me and my BF are going on a trip for the weekend, not to be petty or anything, we're just going to enjoy ourselves. Update 2-3 days later. So my grandparents actually called me the following morning asking if I got invited to the wedding. I said no and they were so mad. Turns out my grandparents were paying for the wedding. My brother told everyone he was paying for everything himself, but nope. My grandparents are now not paying for the wedding after my future sister-in-law also refused to tell them what she is upset about. My parents have stepped up to cover the rest of the wedding expenses, and my grandparents, my BF and I will be enjoying a great weekend. Thank you to everyone's comments and advice, I really appreciate it. That's all the updates I have, but I will keep you posted.
Is the cruelest thing a parent has ever done to you? This one is easy, sadly. My mother called Child Protective Services on me last year. Just because I wasn't talking to her. My world was turned upside down with one phone call. One day a sheriff came to my house. I was surprised because I'm not one to get into trouble or piss anyone off. He said he was there to check on mine and my children's welfare. I was confused. He said my mother had called and said I hadn't talked to her in over a year, my husband was abusive and holding me captive, and I was doing heroin and meth. I looked at him and said, "You've got to be kidding me." He assured me it was for real. I told him I spoke to her about 2 months ago, there's no ball and chain behind me, and I damn sure ain't doing heroin or meth. He actually laughed. I told him she's got issues and I don't want nothing to do with her. He said, "Well, you look healthy, you're not locked in a cellar, and your kids are at school where they should be, so I'll be on my way." I thanked him for his time and off he went. I was steaming pissed that day. I wondered what is wrong with that woman. Now I really won't talk to her. The next day, during the afternoon before the kids got home from school, there was a knock on the door. I open the door and there is a sheriff and social worker. Dumbfounded, I ask if I can help them. They tell me someone has made a report to CPS and they're there to investigate. I was floored to say the least. So we sit down and the social worker begins to interrogate me. She then begins to list the allegations. She tells me I'm supposedly mentally ill, doing heroin and meth, being manipulated and abused by my husband, my children run around unsupervised, the kids aren't adequately cared for, etc. I broke down and sobbed in disbelief. I asked who made this report and was told it was anonymous. I knew by the heroin and meth and husband abusing me bit exactly who it was. The show had just begun. Another sheriff arrived shortly after. They asked if they can search my home. I said for what, and was told if I didn't consent they would take my kids away. Reluctantly, I said fine, I have nothing to hide. As the sheriffs are upstairs searching, I'm still being interrogated downstairs by the social worker. My husband arrived and was very upset about the situation, naturally. He's even more angry seeing me a mess in tears having to be asked appalling questions. Next thing you know, there's a knock at the door. Lo and behold, it's another sheriff. He waltzes in and I ask what the hell he's here for. The sheriffs come downstairs with an empty box that my husband had under our bed from a gun he purchased. They asked where the gun was and he replied it was in the car. They asked to see it and he refused. He's not a felon and it's registered and completely legal. That seemed to piss them off, but they had no grounds to take it or see it. So here we are. Sitting in the living room with the social worker and sheriff while another one is in the kitchen and one in the dining room. Why? I couldn't even tell you. The sheriff had a brown paper bag and said there was some evidence in it. He pulled out some pill bottles. He asked me what they were for. I told him I suffer from depression and anxiety. I also take. What did someone tell you that really hurt? 2 years into an okay relationship, my girlfriend had shown no signs of dissatisfaction and, while we had settled into a routine of work school dating, we had fun. And one night, this happened. GF, hey, we have to talk. Me, we're going to be late for dinner with friends. GF, yeah, no. We're not going. I canceled. We need to talk. Me, okay. That sucks. What's wrong? GF, I met someone else. He's someone that came out of nowhere and he's everything I thought you were, but you're not. Me, processing. Oh, there's a lot to unpack there. GF, I need to be honest with you and get it out. I've been unable to sleep, so I need to get this out. Me, hold on. Can we start with the meeting someone else part? GF, it's not important. Me, I disagree. GF, I'm not happy. You're not happy. We've been drifting for a while, now. Me, and yet this is the first conversation we're having about any of that. GF, sorry, I'll just come out and say I had a better offer. Like I said, I know what I want. He said, you're not. I'm sorry. Me, have you been seeing him while we were still together? GF, I stopped thinking of us as together about a month ago. Me, and that's when it started? GF, sigh, I don't want to get into that. Me, you formed an emotional relationship with someone else and now you want out of ours. Okay. GF, are you mad? Me, I'm still in the processing phase of this. Shock is the best word. Nauseous? Sick and sad. GF, I mean, you were just working and we do the same thing every weekend and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere and, Jay, I don't have time for a silly artist who doesn't want to get a real job. I thought you were going to be a big success, but it's been 2 years and you're nowhere. Me, I'm still in college and I work. And I have had a relationship. We were. GF, my point. While you were working, he and I went out to the river and we took a walk on the bridge together. He told me his life plan and he told me he wanted me in it. It was so romantic. Me, this is so close to cheating there's no gap I can see between it and the line. GF, I haven't slept with him. Me, you kissed him, yes? GF, pause. Me, okay. GF, so I'm ending this because I want to be with him. I just picked the wrong man to be with and I wasted 2 years. So, it's not like we're both hurt by this. At this point, something popped under my temple and I unleashed a string of expletives so vile and loud that it frightened her into another room. I left. Parents of Reddit, what's the biggest lie you found out your teenager was telling you? My 17-year-old niece had always been a bit of a wild child. When she was 12, she started to really rebel against her parents' wishes, hanging out with the wrong crowd, skipping school and even experimenting with drugs. Her parents tried their best to help her, but nothing seemed to work until they decided to lay down the law and grounded her for 3 months when she was 14. Surprisingly enough, this strict punishment actually worked and my niece straightened up her act, getting good grades again and behaving well even after the grounding was over. Fast forward 2 years later, it's Christmas time and my wife and I were visiting our niece's house for dinner since we hadn't seen her in almost a year. When we arrived at their house around midday on Christmas Day though, we were shocked to find out that our niece wasn't there. Her boyfriend told us that she had gone on a skiing trip with some friends from school to celebrate one of their acceptances into medical school, but something about it didn't seem right. My wife asked him for more details about the skiing trip but he couldn't provide any, so naturally both of us got suspicious AF. We called our niece multiple times but she wouldn't answer either, so eventually we just decided to wait until she came back home later in the evening, which thankfully happened around 7 p.m. when it started getting dark outside. When our niece finally arrived home from what turned out to be an imaginary ski trip, we knew something fishy was going on. It turned out that her boyfriend had invited himself over without even asking for permission. My wife immediately confronted him about lying earlier, but all he could do was deny it, which only made things worse between them two. We spent the rest of our time there arguing with him while trying not to upset our niece too much in the process, but little did we know that this would only be start of some serious drama coming up soon enough. Why don't you talk to your parents anymore? I was grounded from the time I was 8 until I moved out. My stepmom would always find another reason to extend it, no matter how small, even my messy bookcase, and at some point it just became normal that I wasn't allowed to do anything and my dad didn't bother to fight it. And grounding for me didn't just mean I couldn't play video games, it was everything. I had no access to any kind of tech. She took away my alarm clock when she found out I was using the radio on it. I couldn't go outside, I couldn't watch TV, I couldn't be up past 8, yes, even in summer when I was 17, I couldn't leave my room without a good reason. I wasn't even allowed to be in my sister's room or talk to her at all. I lost my real mom at 5, and my stepmom came into the picture within the year. I was still nowhere near recovering, and felt like she was trying to replace my mom, so of course I wouldn't call her mom or anything like that. She and my father married when I was 7 without asking me or my sister, 3 at the time. My little sister was only 1 when my mom died, and didn't feel bad letting our stepmom be mom. She didn't even know anything else. She loved my sister and hated me, and I started doing worse and worse in school, giving my stepmom reason enough in my dad's eyes to keep me grounded that whole school year. It just never stopped after that. When I was 9 she found a cover to a porn DVD I'd found in the trash and beat me with the buckle end of a belt. My grandparents, mom's side, got pictures of the bruises, but were too afraid my dad would move me across the country to do anything. It was enough that she was never physical again, but she just started making me write sentences after that. It started out I will not lie 100 times, but that didn't keep me busy long enough, so she kept adding to it every time I did something she didn't like. The worst was when I was 14, and I ate some stevia packets from on top of the fridge, and told her I didn't know where the empty packets came from out of fear. I will not lie, I will not steal. God hates a thief and sin is death. 10,000 times. Due by the end of the month, in December. While I was writing them out, she came by my door, didn't say a word, and just set her belt on the doorknob. That was about as bad as it got, and honestly I consider myself lucky it never got worse. I went to my grandparents' house almost every weekend, and they tried to spoil me as best they could. They weren't rich, but they loved me and gave me everything they could. I wouldn't be anywhere near the kind of person I am today without them, and I'm so thankful they were a part of my life. They taught me how a family is supposed to show love, since my mom couldn't, my stepmom wouldn't, and my dad didn't know how.
Am I the a-hole for not backing up my family after my wife giggled at their news? When I was 17 I had a girlfriend who cheated on me for my brother. We were together since kindergarten. Even though our relationship was fake in elementary school and middle school, we decided to make it official in high school. But after a year of making it official, my brother tells me that she and him were seeing each other behind my back. I was extremely hurt, especially since my parents knew, but they thought the relationship was still a playful one even though I told them the news first. After that I decided to just focus on school and move out of my parents' house, especially since they didn't have the decency to at least be romantically involved in private. She still tried to apologize and ask if we could be friends, but I just ignored her. After I graduated I moved to Texas at age 19 and only contacted my family on holidays. After 2 years of being there I met my wife, Amara, at a bakery her mother owned, and we became friends first due to us both having trust issues, but we made it official a year after meeting. The relationship was great, I loved her family and they loved me. The wedding was absolutely wonderful even though my parents and brother didn't come. I even sent an invitation and called them the day before. But now a week ago my mother called me to ask if we could talk. She was on speaker since Amara and I were cooking. She knows about what my family has done and how they backed up my brother, so I didn't mind putting the phone on speaker since the only conversations I have with my family are about my brother. While my mom goes on to tell me how my brother and ex are getting married and he wants me to be his best man, it was silent for a bit and Amara burst out with giggles and I joined in after her. My mom hung up and I didn't bother calling her back and enjoyed my night with my wife. The next morning I was bombarded with angry texts from my brother and dad on how I hurt my mother's feeling and made her cry by not telling my wife to not laugh.